We are 1 month away from the release of Black Ops 6 Zombies, and I have to say, September has been pretty quiet on the zombies front. And compared to August, where we were just getting information, cutscenes weekly, it's kind of crazy how September has just been so quiet. That was until yesterday when Treyarch tweeted out a blog post in regards to multiplayer and talking about how they took all the feedback from the 2 weeks of the beta phase and incorporated a lot of that feedback, and we're going to see a lot of that feedback present at launch. So that just makes me wonder if a zombies blog post is coming out soon, and if they're going to detail it in a way that they're going to say like, hey, we understand the HUD complaints, we're going to make a zombified HUD, etc., stuff like that. Really dive deep into the concerns that people were having about Black Ops 6 Zombies. So I wanted to do this video for a long time. It's been taking me a while, but I've just been busy and such. But I am finally here to present my finalized feedback for the launch of Black Ops 6 Zombies. Now, there's obviously a few other concerns that people have, including myself, but I feel like those are not reasonable to be fixed by launch. So the feedback that I'm presenting here today in my document is for stuff I would like to see by launch. And if there's other concerns and such that I have, and that will probably come when I play the game and such, I will put it onto the feedback document and keep on updating it. So it's going to be a constant updating document as I go and actually play the game, because at the moment I only have gameplay from content creators and only the information presented by Treyarch. So let's get into my feedback document here. If you would like to read the full document and really, understand my whole viewpoints in a better manner than just me explaining it and you just want to read it, I'm going to leave a link in the description to the document itself. And you can keep that link, as this document is going to be updated, whenever, I play Black Ops 6 Zombies, whenever, we get new information like the blog posts and such. So this document is going to be updated, and I'm also going to be including some community feedback. So if you have feedback towards the mode, please put it in the comment section below, but make sure it, while you're being critical, you're also being respectful to the developers, because I'm not going to put any feedback that is just not worded in a positive manner and it's negative towards the developers. I'm not going to be doing that. So if you really want your feedback to be heard, make sure while being critical, you're being also respectful to the developers. The first thing I wanted to focus on is the actual point system, because I feel like a big complaint that I'm hearing from a lot of the content creators is that there's not enough output with the new point system. Now, this point system was introduced back in Cold War, and it may have worked well in Cold War, but it seems like Black Ops 6, with all the new systems and stuff, it's presenting the new point system as not generating enough output to buy the stuff in a reasonable round. Like, you wouldn't even get a lot of the things by round 20, which is kind of weird, because considering when you play, previous zombies iterations, you could get fully set up like within the first 20 rounds. And I think that's a reasonable, amount of rounds to get ready so you can enjoy the rest of the rounds, killing zombies and doing whatever. So I felt that is very important to capture within Black Ops 6 Zombies, but that's not the case here. So let me give you a quick refresher on the original point system. So the original point system had this thing where if you shoot a bullet at a zombie, which is considered non-lethal damage, you would get 10 points, and that would be unlimited. So this whole idea of point maximization came out of it, and then a lot of players, would shoot with a pistol, because obviously back in the day we started with a pistol and such, so we would shoot in the legs so many times and just knife the zombie, and we're maximizing our output. Now, the whole reason that system was pushed away when Black Ops 4 came around was because the original point system was punishing players for killing the zombies too quickly, and that's what Kevin Drew stated to me. Obviously, he made an example with his brother and such, and a lot of people took it out of context, but no, the whole premise of the change was because they wanted to have players, get points while killing zombies efficiently. But I'm not a fan of that. I have, disagreed on that stance for a while, and I feel like non-lethal point should return. But if you want to have that idea of, having the players efficiently kill the zombies and such, let's do it where there's a limit on the amount of non-lethal hits you can get, taking the page out of Black Ops 4. My idea here, with the new set values of 90 for a regular kill, 115 points for a headshot kill, and 105 points for a melee kill, on top of those points, you can get a max amount of 90 points using non-lethal damage. So, if you get a regular kill, the max amount of points you can earn from that kill, if you point maximize, is 180 points. 90 set points plus 90 points for non-lethal damage. For a headshot kill, you can get 205 points, 115 set points, plus 90 points for non-lethal damage. And then the max amount for a melee kill is 195 points, 105 set points plus 90 points for non-lethal damage. So that whole idea of point maximization is going to be present once again, but it's going to be at a limit so that no one is holding a zombie for the entire time, which I feel like should be a choice for the player. It shouldn't be taken away. So I would really like to see this incorporated within Black Ops 6 Zombies point system, because I feel like it's the best of both worlds. Now, let me know if you guys agree with it. Do you feel like the values are good? Could the values be a little bit increased? How do you feel about the limit? Let me know in the comment section below. To continue on with the point system feedback, I wanted to bring up an idea introduced by Expert Fusion, and this idea is a multiplier in COD Zombies. What a great idea, because I played a lot of Dead Ops Arcade 3, and it even like come into my mind, like Dead Ops Arcade 3 has like a multiplier, Dead Ops Arcade has a multiplier in general, but I didn't even think of the idea of a multiplier in zombies. And this is a great idea because if you get, a multiplier for killing zombies quickly, it goes in line with Treyarch's, idea of like they want to have players kill the zombies fast and efficiently. That's a great idea. I'm gonna add a little bit to it as well. How about where, as we go through the rounds, you're building up a multiplier that's in the background and stuff. So you're getting more points as you survive longer without going down. But once you go down, that multiplier lowers and your output is going to be decreased, which makes high rounding a bit more difficult, which helps the idea of the difficulty factor that Treyarch is trying to introduce in Black Ops 6 Zombies, because as we've seen in Liberty Falls, it's pretty easy to get to round 50. A lot of people were able to do it. The fact that someone could get to round 50 pretty easily is a problem. Not to say, we shouldn't gatekeep the idea of round 50 and such. It's just that there should be a challenge to get through the first 100 rounds. So that's how I feel. And I feel like, having that idea of a multiplier as long as you survive and then it goes away if you go down, that just gives you more reason to stay alive in the match, because you got to be consistent, or else if you go down, you're not going to have enough output for a lot of things that you need, because now we have traps and such. That's going to be very helpful in the long run. And basically, that's all the feedback I have here for the point system. And once again, thank you, Expert, for the idea of the multiplier in Call of Duty Zombies. If you guys want to get a more in-depth analysis and, breakdown of how a multiplier should work in zombies, I'm going to leave Expert's video in the description below. Go check it out. So another thing that I really wanted to focus on is the pricing in Black Ops 6 Zombies. So, for example, Pack-a-Punch in Black Ops 6 Zombies is basically taking the Cold War values, which Tier 1 is 5,000 points, Tier 2, 15,000 points, and then Tier 3 is 30,000 points, which in total is 50,000 points, which is insane. And I don't understand why it's such a high price, especially with the point system not providing enough output. I don't think it's balanced at all, considering how much you had to waste to get a max damage weapon back in, like, let's say Black Ops 3, right? Black Ops 3, you would go up to the Pack-a-Punch. 5,000 points. You wanted to add an AAT, 2,500 points. So you already wasted 7,500 points. Oh, there's a perk that doubles your damage, double tap, 2,000 points. So in total, you wasted there 9,500 points for a max damage weapon. So how did we go from like 9,500 to 50,000 points? I really don't like that, but I understand that a lot of people do like, the different tiers for PAP, and I get that. So I don't want to take that away from you guys. But let's give a nice reasonable price selection here from Modern Warfare Zombies, where tier 1 is 5,000 points, tier 2 is 10,000 points, tier 3 is 15,000 points, and in total 30,000 points. So you save 20,000 points from the original 50,000 points. With those 20,000 points you have left over, you can waste on other things now. You can waste it on perks, you can waste it on the armor vest now, which you actually need to buy from, the wall buys and such. Now, for that output that you're getting in the game, you're actually able to get more stuff if the pricing is a bit more reasonable for Pack-a-Punch in this example. So another thing that suffers from the pricing problem in Black Ops 6 Zombies is the rarity tier upgrade. I feel like they should be slightly adjusted because I think it's a little bit overpriced, and also considering how salvage works in this game, I don't think it's the most reasonable price selection here. So the current prices are as follows: uncommon at 5,000 salvage, rare at 1,000 salvage, epic at 2,500 salvage, and legendary at 5,000 salvage. In total, that's 9,000 salvage. So if zombies are dropping 50 salvage randomly, which is, another thing that's an RNG factor, if that's 50 drops per zombie, you would have to collect 180 drops of salvage just to get 9,000 salvage to max rank your weapon to legendary. That's where I kind of come from. I feel like it's a bit overpriced. So I'm going to introduce prices that I feel like, are a bit more reasonable. So uncommon, I have it at 500 salvage, rare at 1,000 salvage, epic instead of 2,500, I have it at 2,000 salvage, and then legendary instead of 5,000 salvage, I have it at 4,000 salvage. So in total, that would be 7,500 salvage. It's still a high price because obviously you still want that progression present, but it is a bit more reasonable. It will take around 150 drops of salvage, and also since we have new things that we can buy with salvage, you have a spare 1,500 salvage from the original cost that can go towards AATs and whatever else. So I feel like that's also a great thing, to probably, change the prices for the rarity prices as well. Before I conclude the pricing section, I wanted to bring up this idea that just came into my head one day, and I thought it was, something crazy that I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about, but have the fire cell power up, rather than just discount prices for the box now, have it discount prices for more things like the crafting table, the arsenal machine, and maybe even ammo crates. So it's going to have, a bigger purpose in the game. And also, it's not a power up that you can have from the get go. It's not going to be something you get right off the bat. You actually have to work towards to actually unlock that power up, which is, spin the box until it moves and such. So once you do that, you're going to have the fire cell drop, and now it's going to be a whole game of RNG and stuff. And it's also going to help with the pacing of the game, because if you get a fire cell in a spot where you're close to the arsenal machine, you're going to be able to like get your stuff max rarity or something there pretty quickly. And I think that's a great idea. Have more stuff reward the player depending on where they're at in the map and such. So if like you're far away from the map and you get a fire cell, you got to try to get to the arsenal machine that's across the map. So it's not something that's going to be super overpowered and such. Maybe people can take advantage of it, but that's all up to the player's choice. So I feel like that's a great way to reward players in the game. Now, we're going to be talking about the perks and the Wunderfizz right now. And this section is probably my most favorite section to write, because I really wanted to dive deep into some of the problems I have with how the perks, with their pricing and stuff. And then in the case of the Wunderfizz, I'm just not a fan of the Wunderfizz because one, we mentioned a lot of problems with the Wunderfizz back in Cold War, and the same machine is back in Black Ops 6 Zombies with barely any changes to, make it more difficult to get the perks from it and such. So it's a big no-no for me. So I really wanted to dive deep into this, but before we really get into the Wunderfizz and such, we need to talk about the currency for the perks in Black Ops 6 Zombies. Right now, the way the perk system works in terms of currency is that when you first buy a perk, it's 2,500 points. So every time you buy a perk, it adds 500 points towards the purchase. So it goes from 2,500 to 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, 4,500, 5,000, 5,500, 6,000. So that's like for the 8 perks that are currently in the game for Black Ops 6. So in total to buy all the perks is 34,000 points. So once again, that's a lot of points wasted on, a system here. And like I mentioned before, there's a big problem with the output of points in this game. So we are wasting 34,000 points on perks, and plus the 50,000 points for Pack-a-Punch. You're wasting almost 100,000 points just to get fully set up in the Zombies match, which is insane. I don't think that's even reasonable. Just thinking about it, like, it took only a while to get set up in a Zombies match in previous games. It took around 20 rounds, but here it's taking more than 20 rounds. It's probably 30, maybe even 40. I don't know, but I'm not a fan of it. I think that's just a lot of points wasted on perk. What I'm gonna do here is actually introduce the old point values for the current perks in the game so we can make a comparison and try to build up a more reasonable system. So the original perk prices, Juggernaut was always 2,500 points, Quick Revive was 1,500 points, Speed Cola was 3,000 points, Stamina Up is 2,000 points, PhD Flopper 2,000 points, Deadshot 1,500 points, Elemental Pop 2,500 points. That's because there was no set perk price for Cold War, so I'm just putting it at 2,500 points. And then Melee Macchiato, I put it at 2,000 points because I'm basing it off Slappy Taffy from Infinite Warfare Zombies because they're basically, the same exact perk there. In total, if you had the original perk prices present in the game and you were going to buy all of them, you're going to be wasting only 17,000 points, which is half of the 34,000 points that you currently have to waste. So you can see there is a more reasonable option present, but we're going with the most expensive option, which in fact doesn't help, once again, the whole point output problem. So my goal here is, not just to make the perks affordable. I just want to showcase that there is a more reasonable price selection for the perks, but we can also add an obstacle if you wanted to get the full 8 perks. Now, I don't just want to make the perks affordable. I do want there to be an obstacle when you want to get all the perks in the map. So let me present my idea here, right? Let's give every single perk their unique cost, basically the cost that I presented prior, and have it remain that cost until the player collects 4 perks. Once the player collects 4 perks, the next remaining perk cost will increase by 500 points per slot. So, example here, if I buy Juggernaut, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, and Stamina Up, I get those at their base cost, which is 2,500, 1,500, 3,000, 2,000. Now, if I wanted to buy PhD Flopper, which has a base cost of 2,500 points, it would now be 2,500 points because it's in my 5th slot. So if I wanted to buy Melee Macchiato as my 6th slot, it would cost me 3,000 points, 2,000 points of the set value for Melee Macchiato, and then plus 1,000 because it's my 6th perk slot. So it goes the same for the 7th and 8th slots. So to give a quick, better summary, the first 4 perk slots are the base cost of the perk machine with no increase. The last 4 perk slots, and these will probably increase as more perks get added to the game, they're going to increase 500 points per slot. So it's going to be designed like this: slot 1 through 4, no price increase. Slot 5 plus 500, slot 6 plus 1000, slot 7 plus 1500, slot 8 plus 2000, and obviously if there's more perks coming in the game, those values will increase. So let me give you another example here. So if I went into the order of buying Juggernaut, Stamina, Speed Cola, PhD Flopper, Quick Revive, Deadshot, Melee Macchiato, and Elemental Pop, this is how my pricing will look like. Juggernaut, 2,500 points. Stamina, 2,000 points. Speed Cola, 3,000 points. PhD Flopper, 2,000 points. Quick Revive, 1,500 points plus 500 points, which is 2,000 points. Deadshot, 1,500 points plus 1,000 points, 2,500 points. Melee Macchiato, 2,000 points plus 1,500 points, 3,500 points. And then Elemental Pop, 2,500 points plus 2,000 points, which equals 4,500 points. And those last four slots increase because they're past the fourth perk slot. So in total, the amount of points I'd be wasting there is 22,000 points, which is still less than the current cost of 34,000 points. So as you can see here, I managed to create a whole system with an obstacle, and it's still a reasonable perk cost. And another thing I want to mention here, it also gives identity to the perks again, because everyone knows Juggernaut is 2,500 points. Everyone knows Speed Cola is 3,000 points. Everyone knows Quick Revive is 1,500 points. So it's giving identity to those perks again. But once again, like I stated, if you want to bypass the 4 perk slots, you have to, go for the obstacle of paying more. And I think that's fair. And since we know Perkaholic is coming into the game again, it also gives more value to that, because if you get Perkaholic, you're not going to be wasting 22,000 points on perks, so you're going to have 22,000 points to use throughout the game on other stuff like the pack-a-punch and etc. So you're saving more output if you're using, a Perkaholic. But obviously that's if you choose to use Gobblegum and stuff. Now let's finally talk about the Wunderfizz. So this system is exactly the same as it was in Cold War, and the problems with it are still present in Black Ops 6 Zombies. This Wunderfizz machine just tells people, hey, just come to my machine, except the other machines scattered in the map, because I have all those things available for use. So it just makes the other perk machines useless. It just says like, all right, at this point, let's just have one perk machine, and that's the Wunderfizz. That's it. We're expressing the problems with the machine, but we're just bringing back the machine and not doing anything with it. So Treyarch has already come out and said that they wanted to, put the Wunderfizz in difficult spots to get to. But I mean, it just doesn't seem present in Liberty Falls. I know in Terminus you have to go through the ocean and you have to deal with the tentacle monster and such. That's a good obstacle to go through. And I think in terms of like, going for high rounds and such, you're not going to go through the ocean all the time unless you need to get all the perks and such. But at that point, you would just go to the other perk machines and such. So I think it's not a problem in Terminus, but Liberty Falls, it just showcases the problem of the Wunderfizz that was present in Cold War the entirety of the year. So here, I'm going to present my solutions on how the Wunderfizz can work. And I really, really, really hope Prayer can look into this, because once again, all the perk machines should have a purpose. We can't just add perk machines to the map and just leave them being vacant and not having players go up to them to buy the perk from there. They're just going to the Wunderfizz. The player will always take the most easiest option. They will always do that. So I'm going to present different solutions towards the Wunderfizz, and I have a couple here that I feel like could really help the system out. And solution 1 is definitely my favorite idea. So let's begin here. Solution 1. Don't have the Wunderfizz spawn in until the player has bought all the perks from every perk machine. So this rewards the player for actually exploring the map and finding all the machines to buy the perks from in the first place. That way, it's more of a progression system, and the Wunderfizz actually feels like a reward rather than a crutch. So it's kind of like a side Easter egg at that point, right? You're unlocking a machine that can give you all the perks, but that only comes if you actually explore the entire map and bought the perks from their respective machines. And I think that's the best way to do it because, like I said, it takes around 34,000 points with the current, currency for the perks to buy all the perks. So it's going to take a while. So in that case, you're not going to be going to the Wonder Fizz in the early rounds, to buy all the perks and stuff. You're actually going to be exploring the entire map and buying the perks from there. So I think that's a great solution. I really love this solution, and I really hope this actually becomes reality because I feel like this one is probably the most easiest thing to actually implement. So solution 2, have a limit on the amount of perks available at a time in the Wonderfizz. Rather than having all the perks available for purchase, make it random and only have a certain amount of perks available in the machine. So if I wanted Juggernog and I went to the Wonderfizz could either offer me Juggernog as a perk, or it's going to offer me a different perk that I don't have in my inventory, and I'm going to be forced to actually go to the Juggernog machine. So this will actually randomize between rounds and such. It also presents a risk factor because in a scenario you could be closer to the Wonderfizz, but the Juggernog machine is not there. So this will randomize between rounds, and it also presents a risk factor. So in a scenario, if you wanted to, get Juggernog and you're close to the Wonderfizz, if you go to the Wonderfizz and open it, Juggernog is probably not going to be there, so you're forced to actually go across the map to buy Juggernog from its respective machine. And I think that idea of a risk factor at play when you're going to purchase your perks after, taking it down and such, it's a perfect idea. And then solution 3, possibly the most easiest solutions, just add an extra charge of 500 points for every purchase from the Wonderfizz machine. So if you really need all the perks at a certain moment in the game, you're going to spend the extra amount of points towards those perks. But if you need to save up points for other stuff in the game, like traps and stuff, you are going to be going to the actual perk machines and buying the perks from there. Do you want to spend more points towards, your perks and get set up back to normal, or do you actually want to take the risk of exploring the map and buying the perks at a lower price just to get set up again? There's definitely a place for the Wonderfizz in zombies, but only when it's implemented in a way that doesn't actually ruin the actual perk machines themselves. I think the solutions that I presented previously introduce a bit of difficulty and actually feels more rewarding than just buying all the perks from the get-go in the machine. And I hope I made a good case here. And if you guys have any more ideas towards, Wonder Fizz or how the perk machines work, leave it in the comment section below. I really want to hear your guys' opinions on the Wonder Fizz because I feel like this is a general complaint across, the entire community. I feel like, perk machines kind of lost their value in Cold War and such. Even in Modern Warfare Zombies, who goes to the perk machines itself? They just go to tier 3 Wonder Fizz. That's it. That's my whole problem with the Wonder Fizz and such. And I hope Treyarch can really, take these solutions into account and really improve upon them. So just a small little section here before I end up the video, and this is about the armor system. I am not a fan of manually plating to increase your armor health. I feel like it should be like Cold War where it's just automatic. You run over the floor and you pick up armor plates. I think that's just a much better system in my opinion. And I also heard there's an augment that actually does the automatic plating. So at that point, why are we wasting an augment slot on that when it should just be a base mechanic in the game? That's how I feel. I hope they can change that because that seems like an easy change to do. If they already have the augment in place, just make the augment the base mechanic at that point. So that's how I feel. And then also, I know we also start with a tier 1 armor vest. I personally feel like just to introduce a little bit of the concept of the shield, have, parts be scattered across the map and stuff so we can actually craft the armor vest and, get it from there. I That's a little thing. It doesn't have to happen. We could just stick with the tier 1 armor vest. I don't have a problem, but that's just a little idea that I had and I'm going to throw it out there. And that's it for my feedback document. Like I said, this document is going to be updated constantly as Black Ops 6, releases and, a lot of things come out throughout the year and such. So it's going to be a constantly updated document. So you can always look back on it and you can always, put in your input and stuff in the comment section below of this video. And I will definitely read into it. And I want to make something very clear once again here. It's okay to be critical on the game. I'm not saying you can't be critical or whatever, but I also want you to understand that while being critical, you also have to be respectful because when you're giving feedback, you're talking to another human being whose work you're, complimenting and such. And they're not going to listen to stuff where they say this is trash, this is garbage. You're not explaining yourself, and that doesn't help the mode at all. You have to be, a bit more presentable, respectful, so they can actually listen to your ideas and really take that into account so they can build zombies to be much better. Because zombies took a while to, build up into this great mode, right? Obviously we kind of took a nice, reset with, Cold War entering the modern era of zombies. And yes, a lot of people may not enjoy it, but we may need to take a bit of time to build up the systems. And my goal with this entire feedback document is to present feedback that could hopefully be present in launch for Black Ops 6, but it also is for the future of COD Zombies. I want, these systems to work well in future zombies iterations. I don't want, Black Ops, 7 or 8 or whatever to launch in the same, negative reception as Black Ops 6 was, with the release of the Liberty Falls gameplay at COD Next. So that's my whole goal here. I want to make sure we're building up COD Zombies to have great systems, great, replayability and such. And in order to do that, we got to be respectful and present our feedback in a good manner. And that's all I can say to the zombies community. That's my whole point why I make those two videos, because a lot of people aren't doing that and it just sucks because it's just making, us seem like a lot of negative Nancy's when, there's a lot of great community members who are introducing feedback and being very respectful towards Treyarch and such. So I think that's very important to understand, and I hope you guys do understand. So that's what I want to see in my comment section below. So once again, if you guys like or dislike my ideas, please let me know. And, let me know what your ideas are. And, I can even incorporate it in the document as a community section. So that'll be all. And have a nice day. Peace.